Oh, yes, I do. I want to talk black to the Caucasians who have been stalking me for the past 48 hours. I want to talk to the Neanderthal nation tonight, the Caucasian community. You have been cyber stalking me for 48 hours, and I don't mind. I don't mind. You can continue to do it as long as you want, because I don't care if the opinion of every Caucasian is to the contrary. I say what I mean to say, and I stand on everything I say 10 toes down. But let me say this to the Caucasian community. Let me say this to the Caucasian community. When I look at your anger, when I look at your rage, when I look at the responses from America's Caucasian community over this issue of Eminem being the GOAT of hip hop, and let me say this, I have nothing personal against Eminem. My comments on the Joe Budden podcast had nothing to do with Mr. Marshall Mathers personally, and I want Mr. Marshall Mathers to understand that Dr. Umar Ifatunde harbors no personal ill will towards you. This is not personal. This is business.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a story that really shows you how there are two standards in this country when it comes to the so-called black supremacists and the so-called white supremacists. The black supremacist is openly given a platform for him to spew his openly racist ideas, and people take the black supremacist seriously as if his ideas should be platformed. However, if you are a so-called white supremacist, you don't get a platform. Nobody takes your ideas seriously, and you are shamed and condemned for having such ideas. Now, the story that we got to talk about today involves Dr. Umar Johnson, aka Jermaine Shoemake, okay? And I'm going to call him Jermaine Shoemake because that is his birth name. That is his name. I don't believe that he's African, even though it seems like he really wants to be African really bad, but he doesn't really seem to understand that there's a difference between African culture and black culture here in America. And also, allegedly, he has a PhD, a doctorate in psychology or clinical psychology, and I can barely believe that he has an actual degree as well too, right? Just because of how ignorant that he is. But then again, it goes to show you how we've lowered our standards so much in our education system. So with that being said, we have to talk about Umar Johnson going viral for coming after the idea that Eminem is the greatest rapper ever, okay? And he says that Eminem, despite his success, right, despite being well-respected for his lyrics in rap, the fact that he clearly is a very talented rapper, even if I disagree with him politically. According to Jermaine Shoemake, he claims that Eminem cannot be considered one of the greatest rappers ever because he is white, right? He's white, and a white man cannot be considered the greatest at anything created by an African because that is white supremacy. Take a look.
Ask you a question.
You don't think Eminem is one of the best rappers of all time?
According to who?
You.
Rap fans.
Let me say something to you, and this is going to my African fundamentalism. No non-African can ever be the best of anything African. It is an insult to the ancestors, it is an insult to the race, and it is an insult to every black person. Do you think I could go to Palestine and be the best anything of Palestinian culture? You never see that. You think I could go to Israel and be the best of anything in Israel, whether it be a cook, an instrumentalist, a dancer? Hell no. And we have to stop naming non-African people, Joe.
But I disagree.
Stay with me though. Let me finish this. We got to stop naming non-African people as being the best of any aspect of our cultural product.
Joe, I think you
because
can.
it is an insult.
You
we gotta
can.
stop
It is an
inviting.
We
insult.
can acknowledge that the talent is the
Yes, I can acknowledge Eminem's title.
We should.
But let me tell you.
Go ahead.
For you to
what I
put him
think.
at the top,
Let me ask you this.
that's white supremacy,
Let me
bro.
tell you this.
That's white supremacy.
What's white culture?
I don't see Eminem building those schools and hospitals.
We gotta
I don't
stop
see
inviting
DJ
people to the
Khaled
cookout.
building those schools
You
and
know what I'm saying?
hospitals.
What's the white
I don't see DJ Vlad building no damn bets in supermarkets.
Yo, I'm asking.
Hell no.
Doc, let me ask you a question.
Ain't no.
You also know who I don't see building any schools and hospitals? Umar Johnson, right? I don't see him building any schools or hospitals because apparently this guy has scammed a bunch of not so smart people out of their money. by promising to create a school for black boys here in America that he has never created, right? It's been about 7 or so years and the school still hasn't opened yet. Now, he claims that it's going to open soon, right? But again, I wouldn't hold my breath, right? They don't actually open. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But you haven't really opened up a school yet for anybody. So I'm not sure how you can criticize somebody for building schools or hospitals when you haven't really built anything yet. You've just taken people's money. Furthermore, on top of that, again, just in full context, this guy says that it speaks of the psychological illness of black people. This is his words, that black people would consider Eminem to be one of the greatest rappers ever because apparently rap is an African thing, even though I don't think rap really originated in Africa as much as it originated here in America among urban communities. And I guess a lot of people go on to say, yeah, this originated among black folks. So I wouldn't even call rap an African creation because, again, there's a difference, culturally speaking, between Africans and black people, right? For a guy that is not African, right? He also claims that he's a direct descendant of Frederick Douglass, in which Frederick Douglass's family, his actual descendants came out and denied and said, no, this guy is not a descendant. He's not a part of our family at all, okay? But anyways, you would think this guy will understand that there's a difference, right? If you actually talk to any African, they'll tell you straight up, no. Africans and black people are not the same, right? We're not the same. We don't share the same culture, right? But again, this guy believes that all black people are African, when that's just simply not the case, right? It's just simply not the case. Just culturally not true. Again, we may be the descendants of African slaves, but that doesn't make us African. Right? A vast majority of black people have never been to Africa. We will never go to Africa, and we will not have any significant attachment to Africa. Okay, we pulled up on a plane to some country in West Africa. A vast majority of black people, black Americans, will have no clue where to go, who to meet with, okay, to establish the family ties and family connection, because that connection has been lost, right? It's been lost. It's gone. Okay, so we're not African. And you have to get that straight here because, again, it just highlights how nonsensical this guy really is. Because even if you accept this idea that rap originated in Africa or that it's an African thing, which is not, again, by his own logic, black Americans, because we're not African, we would not be able to claim that we're the greatest at anything invented by an African, which, again, rap was not invented in Africa. It's not an African thing. It's a black American thing. And I guess maybe you should throw in there, maybe Caribbean immigrants and, people of, I guess, Latin America descent as well, too, in regards to the origins of rap and, how it came about. I'm just going to throw that in there because I know some people get hurt, okay, if you don't throw everybody in there who may have contributed to the creation of rap. Again, it's just, what he said just doesn't make sense at all. Right. And it's just extremely, in my opinion, racist. Right. Racist to suggest that just because you're white, you can't be considered the greatest at something that I think a lot of people would consider to be a skill or an art. Right. I know some people will say, oh, rap is not a skill. I would argue that it actually really is a skill. Now, I know modern day rap, today's rap doesn't seem to be very skillful, but I think that it is still defined as an art. Okay. And yes, it takes skill to create art. Okay. Now, Eminem, in my opinion, I think he's one of the most skilled rappers to ever live, even though I disagree with him politically, and who knows, Eminem may agree with Dr. Umar Johnson here. That's how woke he has become. So he may actually agree with Jermaine, but I personally think that his skin color has nothing to do with his ability to perform the skill of rap or create the art of rap. And therefore, he should be able to be considered one of the greatest of all time, just like you would consider Michael Jordan to be the greatest of all time for a game like basketball, which, again, requires a skill, okay, in order to play, that was invented by a white man, James Naismith. So I'm trying to figure out, according to Jermaine Shoemaker's logic here, how can Michael Jordan be considered the greatest basketball player ever in a sport created by the white man, right? And let's apply that to sports like football, rugby, baseball, other sports as well too, that, you can say, hey, it was created by the white man. So no black player can be considered the greatest of all time in those sports, right? So the Basketball Hall of Fame needs to get rid of all the black folks, right? Because according to Dr. Umar Johnson's logic here, that is black supremacy in the white man's sport, right? In the white man's creation. And it would not speak well of their psychological wellness as a white person to allow black people to be considered the greatest in a game that you created, right? Again, that's his logic, okay? That's what his logic leads to. So I'm trying to figure out, would he say the same thing when it comes to these other sports that were created by white people, and whether or not black people can be considered the best ever or the greatest ever at those sports? Again, it's fascinating. But again, my question when it comes to Mr. Jermaine Shoemake is, why in the world does this guy continue to get platformed, right? Even though he's clearly a black supremacist, he's clearly very racist. He clearly puts out hateful views, right? Why does this guy continue to get platformed when you got other people like, for example, a Nick Fuentes type, okay, who gets accused of similar things, but just when it comes to white people, why is it that people like him get shunned from society? But people like Umar Johnson, he gets a microphone shoved in his face for him to espouse his very racist views and rhetoric. Again, it really blows my mind how we have this double standard in our society. But here's what I want to say, and I want to close this out. Black people, right? I'm not going to say that Mr. Umar Johnson should be deplatformed per se. I just don't think it's fair for somebody like him to have a platform and you're not giving others platforms who have, similar viewpoints just when it comes to other races and their race or whatever, right? I just don't understand why black people continue to platform him, even though this guy is proven to be a fraudster, right? This guy has taken money from black folks in donations and has shown nothing for it. He is a guy that has done nothing but tried to sow hate and bigotry and division in this country. And again, he hasn't done anything, in my opinion, that I would say is positive for black people, that has advanced any type of black cause or anything like that. But yet, you keep putting a microphone in front of his face like he has something to say that's actually really going to help anybody. I don't understand. I don't get it. Again, I'm not saying he should be deplatformed. I just don't understand why they keep giving him a platform. Why do you keep getting the man a platform? Has he ever said anything interesting outside of his hateful and bigoted comments towards white people, right? Telling black people that it's a disgrace if you marry interracially, right? AKA, if you're not racist, then, hey, you're a disgrace to black people. The guy still lives here in America. He's not in Africa, okay? Even though he claims to be a Pan-African, he loves Africa so much, he won't move to Africa and stay there permanently. He's still here, even though he claims he's oppressed. He's taking your money and he has nothing to show for it. But yet you keep sticking a microphone in his face, helping him raise more money and to scam more people. Again, it's fascinating stuff. I really don't get it. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.